Hey, I'm Parker Rex. I led tech for a startup that sold for 23 million bucks. After that, I tried my hand at a bunch of different SaaS ideas. And on this channel, we cover a couple different things. We go through AI news through the lens of someone who's making money with it. I only really talk about stuff if it's going to be helpful for you because I'm just like overwhelmed by the amount of awesome stuff that's coming out right now. Like the last 24 hours is just insane. And then we go through some strategy of stuff that I'm doing, and then we go through some build things. We also do questions and answers. Questions and answers, yeah. So let's rip it. First of all, I did this prompt thing today that I'm pretty happy with. Also, you notice the VTV right there, Vibe TV. So let's open up this. Wow, you made the dinosaur game. Yeah, I did. Well, I was using it as a test to figure out if I could make something really quickly with Gemini. And yeah, I did. So that was cool. It's got this speaker where if I clicked it, it would start playing a song, which is nice. And it was to test a framework that I have because I think as the models change every single day, you're going to need a framework because the tech's going to change. What won't change is the process. And so let's drag this over here. Okay. I have to pause my music or I'm going to be like obnoxiously hyped the whole time. There we go. So, first of all, GPT 4.0 is not just having a moment, it is like the moment. Like, it's kind of insane how good it is. And it is freaking a lot of people out for good reason. Because there's certain things where it's just like maybe too good. Like, it's like really good. I just keep coming across these thumbnail designers, which is, if you think of it, it's a very niche thing. It's like, let's make these things that are like overproduced sometimes. Here we go. Thumbnail designers over here. But this is insane how it just does that. And then I posted about this right here. Yeah. Look at that. It literally, the one that is on the right is better than his. Yeah. It's good. I'm telling you, this is a crazy opportunity. I've already seen three different iOS drops of people like pushing these like cartoonify me with the Studio Ghibli thing, and it's working. But I used it for all the branding, like this thing right here, right there. You think I made that? No, I didn't make that. You think I made this? No, I actually just stole that, but I edited it. It's got a cool little cocktail. But something like this, I take a photo on a jog, which by the way, this is like a pretty cool thing. This is on Palm Beach, Florida. It looks like the Link thing, if you're familiar, Link, Zelda. If you're not, like, you need to play more games, have more fun. Maybe you didn't have a childhood, sorry. But it took this thing and it just makes it like epic. And then to the point that my friend texted me about this. Like the normies don't know. Like we are in this little club and it's crazy. Like I posted this and like a minute later, yo, whoa, what did you do? And this is abnormal. Like this guy's kind of techie. He's a crypto guy, so like by proxy, he's techie, I guess. But another one, this. This is a company. Like this silly little thing. This is a widget that you'd sell to every mom on all of Pinterest. Like there you are. Everyone on Pinterest is going to want to buy that thing. Every girl on the planet that's running some recipe blog that's not getting deleted by a nerd like you or me who's like automating the thing, they'd want that. It's let me see if I can't pull the prompt for you guys. Where was it? Where are you? Oh yeah, here you go. This is what I was just talking about. This guy already dropped his thing. He's in the store. Where the heck was this thing? Well, I saved it. Oh, that's right. I'm putting it in my school because I'm cool like that. But you guys can have it too. That's part of the thing is like no one's good at prompt sharing. I was like, I need to find a way to make this better because it's such a mess. But yeah, if you just did this, create a step-by-step infographic of a creamy whatever, like you just pass this and then you just dump it into JSON and you're like, yo, we're making pasta tonight. And then it lays it out. It's kind of nuts. Like I know you guys are like, dude, shut up about this thing, but I don't care. So this, another one. It takes that and it makes it into like a plush toy, and I feel like an idiot. I didn't put these in here. Let's go back. Maybe it's in my likes. This is a huge risk moment. Look at that. Like, what? I swear I'll get to something else soon, but not until I find this one thing. Yeah, never mind. This is kind of funny. Okay. So it's having a moment. It's absolutely bonkers. Now let's just talk about Gemini. Gemini is bananas. Absolutely bananas. And it's free. You have access to PhD level super nerds at scale of like 20 times a minute. They increased it if you put your credit card in for free. That's crazy. Go use the thing. Learn to talk to the computer. That's literally the name of the whole school. I just am like branding right now. It's like learn to talk to your computer. And yeah, so there's obviously Gemini, like the web app, but don't use that. And then you have AI Studio, and I can't really understand like why they have this AI Studio product. It confuses me. It's kind of like Azure. When I was building stuff in Azure, they have like it's like a team came in and they're like, we're gonna reinvent the wheel and you guys suck, so we're gonna make it over here. And then the people that they said sucked then caught up and made it better than the new one. And in this case, AI Studio has a lot of stuff in it. Not that much stuff. So you can make your stuff in here. And these are my favorite prompts. I cleaned all the ones out 11 hours ago. I've been at the desk for a while. It's just a good time to be at the desk, you know? But if you go to Vertex, so Google Cloud, this is my home server. Everybody needs a home server, by the way. Like, we're in a new era, fellas. And you are fellas, because this channel's brand new and I see the stats. There's no women that watch this, and that's fine. They'll find this soon enough. But agents are it. It's just the truth. Figure out how to make them. Figure out how to roll your own server. Go watch this guy Cole Medden's video. I rolled my server. Took an hour to figure out. That's a lie. Took 3. So I'm silly. I'm stupid when it comes to some of the Docker stuff. But within your project, you can set up. There's a couple things in here, and I'm familiar with it because I've had clients that ran on GCR, which is Google Cloud Run. But this is a fresh account just for the home server, and you have a model garden. They call it a garden. That's nice, right? It's like, watering your plant or whatever. But in here, you got all these things, but no one cares about any of them except for Gemini 2.5 Pro Experimental. Now, I binged all the videos, so you don't have to. There's the guy Logan, follow him. Make a list, better yet, I have a list of Twitter people that are just that team, right? So that when something new comes out, you figure it out and you're like, is this thing going to make me money or not? Or if you're working a job, is this going to make me better at my job so that I can go make money outside of it or get a raise there? But yeah, so in here, I had used it before because they had an offer. It was like $300 in free credits and just like 6 prompts with 3.7. Not really, but you could get a bunch of credits for Anthropic. Now you can do it in here. And so what I do is you now just go to Freeform, and Freeform is where you're creating the prompt. And I made a video about this on my main channel that I'm like bringing back from the dead because it was all like not entrepreneurs, but it was like wannabe product managers because I made product management content like 4 years ago on there before I became a dev. And I made the channel with this video where I built that thing at the beginning, like the dinosaur one shot. And I talk about this framework. So if you want to see me actually build that thing, go watch that video. But stay here because this is more important. So what you do is you'd write your like V1 prompt in here, and you'd never use AI Studio or Gemini web app again. You'd use this. Maybe you'd use the web app if you want to do deep research, but come in here, flip it over to 2.5 Pro Experimental, crank everything into the right, crank the temperature down to like 0.3. I'm not a scientist. That's just what I like. And then hit help me write. Even if you don't need help, you need help. Okay. This thing is literally trained by like $1 trillion company to make it really good. So whenever you can, do the same thing in the OpenAI playground, do the same thing in the Anthropic playground. They're all a little bit different. And there's a whole team of nerds that are smarter than you that their whole job is that. Like there's a product manager that's like, we got to really get this new release out. Like there's people freaking out about this thing being good. So use it. And so you'll take your first version of it, you'll stick it in there. It's going to spit something out. It's going to break it into system instructions and prompt. And then you get prompt variables. Prompt variables are the jam. So yeah, I want to continue. I'm going to go back to the prompt manager. I'm going to show you the ones that I've kept in here. These are the good ones. And so what I have is this prompt that basically will take in a couple different inputs. So you're an expert in reverse engineering technologies, specializing. Someone commented that I was supposed to increase this. And then someone else, I forgot, I didn't do Q&A, but it was just like comments, so they're not really questions. But someone said I should increase this in the comments, and someone else said they are happy they found me at 235 subs before I go viral, which is like the nicest thing I ever made my day. So if you want to make my day, comment something, because it's like my fiance is like running in with the phone. She's like, "Oh my god," it's really awesome. But yeah, so this is a breakdown of like I want a prompt that can take something that I want to build that already exists, so I can get the foundation for it into my product, whether it's a new feature in an existing product or a net new thing, which that's a boolean in here. It gives me the foundation to work from. So I like to rebuild things so I can know how they work. And this is how I've done what I've figured out so far in my engineering career is by reverse engineering things. And so this just speeds that up. And so if you're looking for a way to build faster and learn faster, this is it. You enter your stack. What I do for this is I just go to my cursor rules or my client rules. But this is the stack that I use for web stuff. I have another one for iOS. And then the task is to create a comprehensive reverse engineering guide for building a specified product. And this is where the magic happens. So if I pop open the prompt variables, this is it. Because I have all the things that I will give through a form, meaning this is going to be a product. Like prompts are products. That's just a crazy thing. Like I can make this into a product and start charging people for it. I'm going to use it a bunch before I do that. But you're seeing in real time, like this thing right here will soon be a product, and I'm going to be building it in public in my little community and then showing how I market it and showing how I do all this stuff. And then also making these videos about it where it's like, the most interesting parts. But I'm basically like live streaming my life of doing all this and then posting it on the internet because it's fun. And I've also made friends through this. It's like wild. People are awesome. But in here you have product explanation. So I explain the thing that may exist. In this case is this silly little dinosaur game. It should nail this, right? It's like really easy. And they own the product. Then you have the existing products. You have the product name. You have the project status. So is this something that you're adding to an existing project or not? In my case, it's not. And then all I do is I run a repo mix on it, and I have an alias for that. So if I go to, let's say, v.yes, yeah. So if I open this bad Jackson open, and then I scroll down to an alias, you see line 105 is a bunch of CLang errors. It's alias text repo mix ignore, so an ignore flag, and then node modules and .next. And so you never want to throw that garbage in there, right? But what that'll do is it spits it out. It's LLM friendly. If you haven't used that before, for sure get on it. And then these are the other ones that I use, like if you're just like throwing away stuff, like do a temp folder. But yeah, that then goes into the repo file tree, and this thing bangs. Like it's crazy good. I'm so excited about that. That is like step one in this framework that I'm making. So I talked a little bit about the framework, but the idea is like I am putting together frameworks that will let people access all the knowledge in their computer. So again, you have all these things in your computer. You're gonna hear me say this so many times, you're gonna probably just like cry, but that's not it. I was trying to make a meme about like Grok now has this thing here. Like what? Like okay, there it is. It just follows you around now. But I was trying to make something that would hammer this point home. It's kind of like Clippy, and this is GPT-4o created. Like you just need to learn to talk to the computer. There's all these brains in there. You gotta access them. I started rebranding this. There's tricks to get it to not say Game Boy. Like you can get around the copyright infringements like I did with this stuff if you just say like, hey, it's not that, just make something similar. But all this stuff ended up being branding by using 4. So to the point about teaching anyone how to learn anything with these frameworks, on the product side, when you're trying to make something, this is where I've landed. Where if I have this set of builds that I'm going to be doing on my main channel, all of them are progressively a little trickier to make, right? None of them are like rocket science. Like you could go and hand code these, and if you don't know how to hand code them, then go hand code them. Go through the pain to learn. But if you want to just do it and then read it afterwards, that's fine. I'm not your dad. But in this case, the Chrome Dinosaur 404 thing, it's easy. Like it's a one shot. That's what that prompt did. But maybe a whoop widget would be a little trickier because it has auth, it has like data fetching. That's like one more thing. So when you add more things, when you have state that's not just like a canvas, it's not just React. Like if you have data, like a server side state, client state, data fetching, persistence, cache, all these other things, that's when you're going to need a little bit more, a couple more steps. But I'm going to just keep going down that list and knock one out a day on the other channel. But the point is I think you would never really use like this. Like you could do easy, but I wouldn't even do that. And I wouldn't do that. I think it's not even that it's hard. It's basically like this would be step one is you're going and you're doing actually sorry. Yeah, that would be 1, this would be 0. So you'd start with deep research. And I think this is more important because then you're like priming your brain on like what is this thing I'm going to make? Always like people always forget that there's research and development on every P&L on the planet and slash every time that you go to do something when you build, like that is a thing. So I've yapped about this before, but like the Abe Lincoln method, where it's if you had 8 hours to chop down a tree, you'd spend 3/4 of it sharpening the axe, and then you go do the chop. Like that's the chop, that's the plan. And so you can get away with just basically going to deep research. I think Gemini plus Grok, they're just better than chat. Like chat takes 16 hours and then comes back. I can't use YouTube. There's nothing like insightful that I gain out of that. So I use Gemini and I use Grok. Gemini has YouTube, so it's obviously epic. If there's a talk that I want, like I'll jump into Notebook LM. But most of the time, I found this to be awesome, and it's like game changing because I'm now able to like build Map, which is my SaaS product that I just hit a wall on. But point is like you would go from like if I had this where I do deep research, then I use Vertex to try to reverse engineer something. Let's just step it out. So you'd have the deep research, and this would be the agent for building anything. And you'll obviously copy pasta between the steps, but this is the thing that I'm building on my home server where it's just gonna like go. Then I can do HITLs to check. So I do my deep research, I do my Vertex prompts, and then the output of that, it has some snippets in it, but I actually think that I'm going to modify it so then I'd have a solutions architect. And that's like your neck beard, smartest guy at your company that you're trying to mimic. Each one of these is a person. Deep research normally would have been a PM. Vertex prompt would be a PM plus an engineer. Solutions architect is the neck beard guy. And then you have the actual like implementation engineer. I'm really getting big on tests now because they're going to become way more important. Like that brings up another point, but let's write like just test engineer. But as agents start to scale, like what we have like 8 billion people on the planet, and the traffic is mostly human right now, I'm assuming. But like you gotta wonder like if we're in 2025, I had to look up there. I knew it was 2025, silly me. But if we're 2025 and we're doing like 5-year increments, and these things are just starting to rip, like bot traffic already is massive, but I want to separate that out. Like let's pretend like bot traffic is not part of this. Let's just say that like human population on the internet. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's half. Let's say humans is orange, human. And then agent is blue. Gosh, I'm so bad at recording these things at night. My handwriting's so bad. But you'd say that the population of humans on the internet is going to like slowly creep, and hopefully everyone keeps having babies. But then when you look at the agent one, it's probably not very much, but it's just going to go parabolic. It's going to be like every chart that every crypto nerd wants to be for Bitcoin, but it's just going to happen. And so a lot of that though, like our alpha, the people that are like nerding out on this stuff, is to be the ones that are high quality because there already are so many signals that there's just dribble. Like people are running these like automations that suck. That's why I'm getting big on tests when it comes to software. Is because before like you should obviously still write tests like if you're just not using agents, but it's even more important when you're going to start linking these things up. You're going to have real traffic running on them, and you're going to be like letting off on maybe being a little bit more um, like you're not going to be supervising as much. So it's just something to think about. But I think those steps, and then each one of these obviously can be broken out. These steps together with the right prompts and the right supervision is a full squad, right? And then not much changes for debugging. Like this is net new stuff. But then on debug, whoops, on debug, I made a video about this before, but it's really just like, okay, we need something that's going to output an RCA. It's got this huge prompt, and it works really well. You'd be like, okay, where is it? Yeah, incident response engineer outputs the root cause analysis or the RCA. If you've ever written one of those, I mean, everyone needs to do that once when something messes up. And then that hands off to the next one. You get a solution architecture document, probably a mermaid diagram or swim diagram or something. Then that goes to implementation or remediation. So the person who fixes it. So all this stuff is it's cooking up, and I'm like, I feel like I'm changing my stuff. I'm updating it pretty much every day because it's just moving so fast, and it opens up so many lanes. Like it's crazy. And having people that I've been talking to building this space is also helpful. Like a peer group's dope. Hit me up on Twitter if you want to chat about this stuff. See, I talked about that. I talked about that. I talked about that. Oh yeah, bad agents make you look like hot garbage. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm always ripping on people in a kind way, but it's like you can just tell when someone's automated something. It's so bad. It makes you look like a bot. You don't want to be a bot. Like it just there's something defensible about being human. It's a big part about why I'm spending time talking to you guys. It's because like we are human, we are unique. We need to at least keep that edge, and when we do automate things, you need to not go full bore. Like see what it is that it's gonna output, and don't let it just fly. Same thing with customers. Like I see so many N8N automations that are just pointless. It's like same thing with like Python multi prompt chained things where it's like it's a bar trick. It's not actually helpful. So just think a lot about like the intent behind a thing. Are you doing this because you think it's cool so you can talk about it? Or are you doing this because you're trying to make money or like grow an audience or something and like actually have genuine connections? That brings us to our next one. So on the theme pages, this is nuts. So I have a friend who I hired. Let's go face to face here. I'm gonna be fancy. I have a friend who I hired to help with branding for my first app that I launched after the startup sold. So startup sells, and I was an early member there. I helped with all the tech stuff. I always yap about that at the beginning of the hook. But I did this like Airbnb for music thing, and I saw this like page that was like a golf course, and I'm like, this video is like hype as hell. Who made this video? Because a golf course is lame. Like I mean, I don't hate the sport, but it's like usually you wouldn't see good content. Immediately DM the guy, say, "Yo, you're about to blow this place up." Fast forward, we hang out. I recruit him to work on my thing. He blows up our channel. I learn how he does it. he like we split ways because I shut the app down, and then he blows up a theme page by just posting about stuff that's getting built in our county in Florida, and he calls it Florida of Tomorrow. He grows that from 0 views and like 0 subs, zero. It's the Instagram page. You can check it out. But it's like he basically grew it from zero to I think he's at like almost 100. But he did this in like the span of a year while he had a day job. And all he did, not all he did, but like you can list these things out and then you can automate it and then you can do these theme pages that blow up apps that are getting, I'll show you in a sec. It's like 9 million in ARR. Same concept, but it's in an app. But all he did is he'd go and he's like, okay, I'm going to bookmark a bunch of links. So he's got a little thing like, up here on the top. He bookmarks like 10 pages, right? And then after that, he goes and he finds the good ones. So you have a classifier. What makes one good, right? So you have to like think through the systems thinking. What makes one good? And then if there's a good pick, if good pick, snag. Else or otherwise, make one. And then if you looked at make one, it means you'd look up what the summary of the article was. So, oh, they're building this new tower over here. And it's done by Stephen Ross at Related Group, this billionaire tycoon from New York. Okay, cool. That's enough context to go find him. And then he searches and then he finds it. And then maybe there's some tidbit there. And then he takes the article and rewrites article. And at the time, he was using Gemini. This was like a few months ago. Rewrites article, post. Now you do this process. I think he posted like on average 3 times a week, so 156 times. Now 6-figure business, pretty cool for just doing that. And then also on top of that, like free trips all over the world. He's in Tokyo right now because he started a new one. It's called Hotels. This thing is crazy. It's just called a theme page. It's not new. But what is new is how you could do that with a couple of agents. So that's awesome. And a good example of this is this page right here. 2 daily quote apps got to 9 million ARR and 1 million downloads. One single rinse and repeat faceless format, 138 million views. This is a Canva template. This makes me so jealous. This is awesome for them. Like, okay, it's crazy. Like, absolutely nuts. So, I think Pinterest is a great place for this. I use this for branding a bunch of stuff today. Like, you would go and you do that, and it's the same process for what I did for Vibe with. I was like, okay, what's the vibe for this new brand? And I sped ran branding for the community, like the media brand that I'm building. It is on School now, but I even hate that word. I'm going to get off there eventually, but it's just easy because payments and all that jazz. But you could, like, this is defensibility, is the way I look at it. It's like this mix of this theme page that you can automate for customer acquisition and awareness, doing it for clients, whatever. But like having a cool brand, it's going to be the difference because everything's going to be automated and everything's going to feel like kind of the same cookie cutter stuff. So if you can even get like a vibe, we're like, okay, this kind of vibe, then you could go and then you tweak that work to make your own style. And then in the future, what I'm going to do is I'll take the assets that are in here that like suggest a certain thing, like, oh, like we're trying to unlock the brain that's in the computer. You have these worker bees in there. How do you get them out? You find something similar, you remix it. Then I'll have a library of these assets that I will then use as probably not a tuned model because it'd probably be expensive. I wouldn't do that at first, but like something that's like, hey, here's the base set of images so you can at least know like the style. So it's like, oh, we do like vaporwave, kind of like back like retro-y, vintage-y stuff. And then that will be the future where like you're doing image gen that's like very guided. So it's not starting from scratch. It might be a neural trace. I have no clue, but that's kind of what I'm calling here is like you're going to see a lot more of this stuff that happens, which is like the vibe marketing. And it's starting to pick up steam. Like the reason I rebranded all this stuff that I'm doing on the internet to like this vibe thing is because people are talking about it. Like CNBC is apparently talking about it. I like posted this clip because guy that's like talking about HubSpot is like, yeah, they're doing vibe coding. I'm like, what? And these people are talking about it. Like I see it a lot of places. It's not as big as vibe coding, but if it just kicked off like last week on X, that means that it's going to hit LinkedIn in like a couple weeks, and then everyone's going to flip out and then be trying to learn this stuff. So if you're selling it, it doesn't even need to be vibe marketing, but like people like it's just that idea of like automating stuff and then again putting like guardrails around it because you can see it's starting to have a moment, especially in Myanmar. But okay, theme pages. What's your moat? This is what I think about a lot, especially now. Like I look at the things that I could work on right now to get to 100K profit a month, and I'm like, okay, well, it'd be short-sighted of me. Like I could do that again. I've mentioned this. Like I could do that if I just went all in on contracts. That's like the straightest line to it. It's like okay, like get 425K contracts and then just suck it up and just hammer. But then it's like, okay, well, you hit that number, but is this sustainable? Are you burnt? Are you levering up? Boy, probably not. Probably not levered at all. Probably like burnt the hell out. Yeah, you would maybe be doing 1.2 a year, but like, is that a miserable 1.2? Is there some underlying asset? Because like, if I get the 1.2 out of that, and then okay, I have working capital that I can go and then put in a market, and it's like okay, on average is that 8%, and that's going to compound. Or if I took even half of that, if I had 600, but I can put half of that into something that is building my own thing. Like if I could just treat the 1.2 or even half of that as like a pre-seed round into the development of other things, like I would take that bet all day because the best bet you can make is the bet on yourself, not the 8%. Obviously, I'm not a financial guy, I'm not your guide, but that's what I always think is like if you believe in yourself, you'll bet on yourself and you'll figure it out, especially if you're doing this stuff. Like we're like literally in the best position ever right now to be learning how to lever up with all these PhD students that are stuck in the computer. So that leads into I kind of talked about this just how like I personally just use this 4.0 stuff to rebrand and like not even rebrand to like make a brand. And you're gonna see it literally everywhere soon. And the way that I think about this stuff is this is like more on like a strategy stuff of how I like operate to do all the things I want to do so that I can like make sure I'm still lifting and make sure I'm still running a certain number of miles and like spending time with the lady and all these things is like you have this thing called the power list. And anytime I feel like I'm falling out of line on like not hitting the goals that I want, I bring this back in. And it's part of this system that's called 75 hard, but you basically add the things that you want to get done and to know if it's a good day or not. So for me, it's like this daily vid thing came in like 3 weeks ago and it's going well. But at first it sucked, right? It was like, oh my gosh, like it's not that it sucked. It just felt like it wasn't a habit yet, but now it's a habit and then you just do it. So that one will go off of it. And then now I'm going to be building one content system per day. So I started working on one of those today. I figured out how to get GCP as a bucket, like a cloud storage bucket, to be mounted to my MacBook, meaning that I can run an automation from finishing this video to having it like tick a domino, and then it like knocks these other things out, which to me is fantastic. And then goes into this bigger play of this automated content system that has a ton of checks in it. So nothing that goes out on the internet I didn't look at and approve. So record one main channel. Yeah, that'll be what I'm doing with the builds over here or wherever they are. It's that Gemini thing. These are the content automations. So like every piece of content I'm putting out basically is testing something against a framework I'm making or building something that's going to help myself and then help the people that are in the media brand slash community slash it's really like an education company. And so like those assets will be put back in there. Other people will use them, and then other people will like make them better, hopefully, and like rip on them, make them better. That's how you make them better, is you rip on them. Like I put out this first version, like this alpha version of this edutainment product, and like everyone was so confused, like what the hell? And then I was like, oh, I got to tweak it, but that's how it works. Like, it's just it. So I'm gonna stand up this YouTube to blog thing. It can take any sort of video and then turn it into like a number of different styles of SEO content, and it works really well. And it'll just go into my Supabase like database for my website. So my website's like not fully automated, and it's just like another thing. So I want to win on SEO when it comes to certain terms. So that's what that will do. And then I want to do this SEO optimizer for internal SEO links. So it's pretty sick. Basically, like looks through all the content that's on your site, and internal linking is a big thing. There's over 200 different params that you get graded on from Google: off page, on page, performance, Lighthouse. There's a zillion of them within those, but those are just off the top. But that's what that does. Basically, finds them for you. And then I want to do similar site search for automated SEO outreach. So looking at the people around me, if you're familiar with Similar Web up here, Similar Web looks at traffic. So you can see Excalibur gets 220 a month, and then the average balance 33, whatever. But you can pay for a service similar to this that they actually have one. It's called Similar Sites. Did I have it downloaded on this? Just started using Brave again, so it's maybe not in here. But yeah, basically like looks around. I have SEMrush that I'll be using for that to pull some data. And then I'm actually just curious. Look, like as much as it's awesome that we speak English and like, I don't know, maybe 30% of the whole world speaks English. So it'd be pretty dope to access the other 70%. If this something is something that's really easy. Like I look at that and I'm like, yo, how dope would it be if I could 3x the audience or the TAM, total addressable market size, by just running an automation against this to Chinese, like Cantonese, and then Indian? It's definitely not the top of the list. Like I have like 70 other ones that are probably worth at least ICE ranking or like putting a score to. ICE is impact, confidence, and ease. It's just like a matrix for like kind of understanding. You stack rank things and you think, if my goal is to grow organic marketing, because I think that's the best defensible moat to build the best community, to build the best products, all that. If that's the goal, then which one of these do I believe has the most impact? And if I think it has a really high score out of 10, I'd give it a 9. If I think it's I'm like really confident about that, I'd give it a 9. And then if it's really easy, I give it a 9. And then you can like go through it. So yeah, translating to Chinese might not be up there, but I don't know. So okay, that's how the power list works. I'm gonna start getting into the short stuff soon, but I'm just revving up the second YouTube channel. On the Loom calls, this is client side stuff. So out of the 100, if it was something that was like a fancy brand that I actually want to work with, I have a short list of those. And I would actually take a pay reduction. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, I don't want a 10K contract from like name of cool company. And then I'll be adding 1 hour SaaS. So that's actually gonna be a series on Vibe with AI, which is like, I don't even know if I made it in this marketing thingy that I made. But like the idea is like I'm just literally, it's gonna be like a Twitch stream, but for my startup. So oh yeah, company build out. I made these like VHS tapes, took way too long. But idea being that I have Map, and Map is multi-agentic, and Map does a lot of stuff, and I'm going to be streaming, building out the Agents SDK. So it's like 5 SaaS products in one, and that's going to be back in the loop. And then I'll give updates on this channel about how that's going, and I'll take the juiciest bits, put it on the main channel. But all like the actual working sessions will just be in the community for everyone to like rip on me about, tell me, hey, that sucks or whatever. And yeah, to finish out, I have, I left the best I left the best automation for last. Someone go build this, because I think of these stupid things that I know like would just be funny, and like it would get a lot of likes, and then people would be like, whoa, what's this guy? So I had put the the automation as like a growth agent, where like the growth agent before was like, it was just not Yeah, it's like chapter markers. So you'd just be like the marker guy, and it'd be like, oh, there's Parker. And it's like Parker, Rex, whatever. And I'd be the top comment on like every single YouTube video of popular channels that don't have chapter markers baked in because they're like too lazy to put them in there. And then at the bottom, I'd just have like a little blurb. Then I see this horrible podcast with Mark Zuckerberg, and I see Nightmare Blunt Rotation. And I'm like, that's kind of funny. Like, you would do this with sentiment analysis. So it's like you could be the funniest guy on the whole page for like every video that has like 1 million likes. You would you could just have your thing just literally say Nightmare Blunt Rotation. And so the way that that would work is I can't believe this. Yeah. So okay, yeah, you would do step one auth. So you'd authorize with it. I'd probably just use make. I think I have this built out. I never use makes. Don't make fun of me. I coded all this stuff and I found make because I hated it so long ago. I was like, why do you idiots use make? Like code it. I had the God complex. Like I'm too good for that. Let me roll my own version. Yeah, I have like half a thing on here because I use it. And then you also don't do client stuff on your own. FYI, I don't do that. So okay, let's go to the auto commenter. Video to blog. No. Fun. No. Oh no, I don't know where it is. Well, ours is. Yeah, you do the auth with it. You could then. There's a. I think there's a module that like does the, like reading, scraping comments. You could maybe even do that with Appify if you wanted to. Scrape the comments, and then you could do a sentiment analysis. A lot of ways to do this. The dumbest way, and because it's 10:30 at night and I'm like gassed, is I'd literally just like dump the top comments into a sheet and then read them, or I just dump. Yeah, I scrape top comments, dump, and then do like a GPT on it. So it's like, yo, like you are an expert at sentiment analysis. And for that, I'd probably go and I'd get a cookbook from somewhere. Because I'm not gonna go rewrite something. Like most of the time when you're gonna go write your own prompt, someone if it's like a general one like sentiment analysis, don't write that yourself. Like there's a Hacker News sentiment analysis GitHub repo that I saw. There's one on the Vercel templates for voice. Like, go find a different one. Vercel templates, Gemini cookbooks, OpenAI cookbooks. One of those will have it. And so that'd be funny. Then it would go and it would comment that. If it's like, okay, if there's a bunch of people that are saying negative stuff, just type that in. And then maybe a lot of people will like it and it'd be funny. And then the caveman summary one, this is just like I always see these parody accounts where it's like there's like this Asian lady that like just says ridiculous stuff. There's like Greg, who's like a Twitter account. But like a caveman summary would be like, I don't know, I watched this whole thing and it was like so awkward, like they felt like robots. And so you could just say like some stupid thing that's like a play on like AI summary. Like when you see that, you're like, oh, robot. But it'd be like the shorthand would be like Zuck mad because no one uses Facebook or something. And you'd give it a bunch of examples. It'd be funnier than that. Maybe that isn't that funny, but I laughed when I thought of it. So if I'm not funny, let me know. And I think that's enough for today. Yeah, that was a solid yap sesh. This was the thing for. Yeah, these are more frameworks that I'm just trying to figure out, like the Dr. Dre method, where it's like this is how you solve any problem. You draft up the problem that you're trying to figure out. If you don't know what it is, go think. And then you plus up the prompt with this meta prompt that I have, and then you do the research, and then you do the execution, and then I'm trying to think of like the most bang for buck, batteries included, like different things they could use for people that don't use AI every single day. So if that was helpful, if you want the meta prompt, drop the word duck as always. That's our mascot on the channel. Because when you're having trouble coding, you do the rubber duck method. And that's why I have this thing on my desk, because the computer's never wrong. It's you. Have a great day, guys. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and you can. I'm going to launch this beta of the vibe thing like this. Yeah. Wow, I pointed the right way. I'm going to launch that on Monday. All right. Bye bye. Have a good one.